Hey, friends. So here I just want to mention a few criticisms, a few critical thoughts about Strawson's position. So first, you might call Strawson a little bit hand-wavy, right? He's all, determinism doesn't really matter if it's true or not. We're still going to do our reactive attitudes thing. I got real smarmy there. I don't know why. Sorry about that. So you might accuse Strawson of being rather hand-wavy, dismissive of deep metaphysical questions about the nature of freedom and the nature of determinism, right? The crux of his argument is it doesn't matter if determinism is true. We're still going to do our reactive attitudes thing, right? And you might say, well, that's just a little too hasty, right? Perhaps we're just ignoring or brushing off deep questions a little too quickly. So that's one. A second criticism we might have is that determinism is fundamentally about the thesis whether or not somebody could have done otherwise, right? So if we are determined, that's to say that we could not have acted otherwise, even if we'd wanted to, right? That provided the triggering conditions obtained, the effect occurs. However, whether or not somebody could have done otherwise is really important to our assessments of responsibility and to the reactive attitudes that we have. So even though Strawson in a very blasé way says, look, the questions about determinism simply don't matter here. Well, in a sense, they do, right? Because we are in fact interested in whether or not people could have done otherwise. A number of court cases have attempted to defend the accused by saying, look, they were brought up this way, they couldn't have not have done otherwise, right? The trial of Sacco and Vanzetti is one that comes quickly to mind. So, even though Strawson brushes off these questions, it seems like they are, in fact, kind of important for our ordinary assessments about responsibility. The final criticism that we might have of Strawson is that a person is responsible, or a person is condemned, or praised, or blamed in virtue of social responses to that person, right? It depends on what the moral community says about this particular person. However, we might wonder whether or not that there are community independent facts in virtue of which a person is held responsible. Again, on Strawson's view, a person is responsible or a worthy target of resentment if the moral community judges that person or that action to be worthy of resentment. But we might wonder whether or not there are community independent facts about responsibility and about the appropriateness of particular reactive attitudes being applied. So, for example, imagine a hastily sketched hypothetical scenario in which an agent, Captain Autonomy, if you will, does something reprehensible, like embezzle a whole bunch of money from a bank or from their employer. But the community at large doesn't hold Captain Autonomy responsible. Well, in that case, Captain Autonomy isn't responsible, right? He's not the subject of resentment or blame. Right? So that seems weird, right? Because so the crux of that is that we intuitively there really might be some community independent facts about holding people responsible, and Strawson's theory just doesn't capture those.